all the notes should circulate for now. All the notes. All the old notes circulate side by side with the new notes for now. Now, if I were to advise him, I would have advised differently.
Buhari is ignorant. He acted ignorantly. People who are part of Buhari's administration, people who spoke excellently of Buhari, all of a sudden, they are beginning to point out the errors that we've been seeing for a very long time. It is true that in politics, particularly the types of politics in Nigeria, it's about personal interest, not about friendship. The Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, has pointed out to Buhari, in fact, he has made it clear to Buhari his own position on the Naira redesign policy. Speaking during a live interview, Keyamo, who is also the official spokesperson for the All Progressive Congress Presidential Campaign Council, said Buhari is wrong and Buhari was wrongly advised to disobey the Supreme Court order on the validity of the old Naira notes. Buhari was wrongly advised, or Buhari cares less about the rule of law. Which of them is true? He argued that the action taken by Buhari contradicts the order of the Supreme Court and that nobody should be above the law.
Now, if I were to advise him, I would have advised differently. I did not advise him. It's not my responsibility. I don't know who.
What would you have advised him?
To comply strictly with the with the terms of the order of the Supreme Court.
And which is?
All the notes should circulate for now. All the notes. All the old notes circulate side by side with the new notes for now. Because that is the order of the Supreme Court. And by virtue of our Constitution, all authorities in Nigeria, all, must obey the orders of the Supreme Court. Anything to the contrary is a descent to anarchy. And let me tell you, the day we begin to disobey the order of the Supreme Court, that is an invitation to intervention, to revolutionary intervention, or other kind of intervention in our democracy, because the judiciary and the Supreme Court is the last bastion.
So all of a sudden, their mouth is beginning to become wide open to speak the truth. Why? Because of the transition of power that is about to happen very soon. They know that Buhari is of no use to them anymore. The next person that will come in, should that person win, is the person that they need to support. Now, we all know what Buhari did recently. On Thursday, he made a nationwide broadcast and he approved the continuous usage of the old 200 Naira notes only as a legal tender until the 10th of April. What about the 1,500? Well, the talk is this: they are targeting certain elements in our society who hoarded this amount of money. They know if people are to hide money or store money somewhere, they will start with the bigger denomination. So Buhari approving the 200 Naira is probably just to assuage the people, make people feel better. Questions that people have asked is this: where are the 200 Naira notes? CBN governor replied to this and said he has ordered the banks to release 200 Naira. He wants 200 Naira only to be in circulation. The old 200 Naira, according to Buhari, will be distributed back into circulation. Now, this all is contrary to an earlier order of the Supreme Court on the matter, which had directed that all the old notes should remain legal tenders until a final judgment is given in the matter before the Supreme Court, the apex court. Now, all of this had generated mixed reactions. And in attempting to absolve himself of the blame, Keyamo during his interview on Friday said he wasn't part of those who advised Buhari on the matter. Of course, Buhari is not going to ask you to come in to advise him. He's going to speak to CBN, speak to people that he feels are into this. It's not going to call you Minister for Labor and this. Call you for what? Of course, it was supposed to also be consulted. They needed to have asked, how is this going to impact on our society, positively or negatively? Is this what we need to be done at this time? Well, he has told Buhari, and I'm glad that he can speak like this, although this is how they are. He said, Buhari, Mr. President, you must fully obey the law. You must fully obey the Supreme Court order and allow the old Naira notes remain in circulation beyond February 10, pending a final determination of the suit before the Apex Court. He said, my view is that the president acted honestly. Of course, he knows that he can be dealt with at this time, so he has to guard his words. So without intention to slight the Supreme Court, but he may have acted on wrong advice. I did not give that advice. It is not my responsibility. I do not know who gave that advice. I want to say this openly because tomorrow people may say this. They might want to ask where I stood at that time. So I think the president did not, because in his speech, he acknowledged that there were certain matters in court. So he thought he was playing safe by saying, okay, before you decide these matters in court, may I just provide some middle ground so that the country will not burn? Of course, we all know what's happening. Riots everywhere. So he has kind of absolved himself and said, look, Buhari would have done better. He never intended not to do bad. But is it that Buhari is stupid? Buhari knows what it means if cash is taken out of circulation. Even if he was told, let's say he doesn't even have proper understanding of it. If the CBN governor came with big grammar saying we are going to take this out of circulation, we are going to introduce this very quickly, we are going to supply this to the bank, and to him it's like, okay, you can do that as long as you are going to quickly borrow money back. But look at it right now. The CBN has refused to put the same amount that they have taken out, the money that they've mopped, the old currency. They've decided not to put back the same currency into the banks. Why? Because CBN is simply targeting certain individuals. Of course, it knows that people are going to suffer. It's like a two-way approach. One approach is this: let me deal with those that have stolen money and kept it in houses, warehouses, stores, drainage. And also, let me create a situation where people will revolt, and this will make sure that election does not hold, because the pressure will be so much on them. Riots, and you see there is riot everywhere, burning of banks and attacking of CBN collection point branches, and what have you. A lot of things are happening. People are taking advantage of this to rob. Yes, this is the plan. Two-way approach to it. Let's create anarchy. And also, let me attack my enemies. You might be asking why I said enemies. Yes, because he was also planning on becoming the president. But the cabals, they could not help him achieve his dream, his aim. So, this is just what it is. Anything to the contrary is a descent to anarchy.